Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at NECA's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2-pack of OROKU SAKI and HAMATO YOSHI, which if you're not super into the Turtles or didn't watch the movie recently, you might not even know who these characters are, but one is Shredder and one is the guy who owned Splinter, right? Maybe I'm not into Turtles as much. I've been accused of being a Turtle fanboy. I'm not. I grew up on the Turtles as a kid, and I liked the live-action movie as an adult, the old one. But that's about it. Like, I'm not super into it, so I could be wrong. I haven't checked those things, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. You can let me know in the comment section below if I'm wrong. I mean, I know one is Shredder, but one is Splinter's owner, right? Right, okay. Anyway, this is NECA's new 2-pack. It is one of their best releases, which is, like I said, it's more of an obscure release, I suppose, but it's a really good one, so I think you guys might want to track it down. But we're going to go ahead and talk about it. There's a lot to talk about, so let's go ahead and get them off the stand and take a closer look. Okay, now both of these figures are the same figure, just with different parts, and we'll get to that because that's part of the 2-pack's allure. So I'm only going to review one of them other than the head, so we'll set that aside. Now, this guy stands, they both stand roughly 17.5 centimeters to the top of the head, not counting a little bit of hair floof, and that's going to make him about 6 3/4 inches, so that pretty much scales well with the rest of NECA's products, the rest of the Ninja Turtle line especially. Before we get into the rest of the review though, let's do a quick question of the day. Are you guys into these more obscure type of releases, or do you just want Turtles and Toka and Razor and Shredder and Splinter and those kind of things? Or do you want more of the human type characters, like Danny was just released in that Loot Crate thing, or April's getting released? I know they're selling like crazy when they have the sales and stuff, but I want to talk to you general collectors, not people that are looking to buy and flip and things like that. Just, are you guys collecting these things for your own personal desires? Curious about that. Now this set I do think is a pretty cool set to own, but that's totally up to you how you want to answer. Alright, so aesthetically speaking, NECA nailed the human sculpt, the anatomy. They did a really, really good job. Remember the Figma Bruce Lee that came out a while ago? Holy baloney. I don't want to say any bad words. Holy macaroni, that was a bad release. This is really well done. It's well painted, it's well sculpted, it's got the right kind of plastic to be made out of. Shading could be a little less harsh, I suppose, here and there. Like there's a lot over here, not as much here, none here. You know, it's a little more shading here than here. This one arm definitely got it, but it's still a really good release. They painted the nipples in a way that doesn't make them look weird. They're sculpted. I mean, that's a weird thing to talk about, I know, but it's a thing that's often overlooked on action figures. Putting nipples on. Do you sculpt them? Do you paint them? What do? Do you put nipples on at all? That kind of thing. I think NECA did a really good job, and obviously these are lifelike figures, so they would have to be there. Again, I know it's a weird topic, but it is a thing worth discussing. Now, I do want to mention real quick while we're talking about the aesthetic, we do have the 2 different head sculpts plus 1 accessory head sculpt, which I'll show you. These are not, as far as I can tell, the likeness rights, the likenesses of the actors from the movie. But they are close enough that they look good. Like, they're really good sculpts and they're very well painted, so I have no complaints with that. But as far as I can tell, this is not the actual look of the actors from the movie. I don't personally care, but that might be something worth knowing. I could be wrong, but I looked up some images as best I could, and it definitely doesn't look like them to me. But maybe it is, and that's the way it goes. This one guy, I will say though, he looks a little bit like the guy who played Ryu in the live-action Street Fighter movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Just a little bit. I think it's probably the hair more than anything. But anyway, they're really, really good head sculpts. That's maybe the best looking head sculpt I've ever seen at this scale, paint-wise and everything, at this price point. They nailed it. This one's not quite as good. It's got a little bit more of a cartoon vibe to the eyes and teeth. But if you look at the alternate one, it's a little bit better. Like, that's freaking good for this scale. That's incredible at the price point. Love it. Very, very nice. Alright, so aesthetics. I just want to show you the top part of the outfit matches the pants. So I don't need to have both of them on screen the whole time. But yeah, that matches down here. So you still get the basic black plastic with dry brushing for the clothing. That's pretty good. The belt is well sculpted. The gauntlets are the same gauntlets as we've seen before. Maybe not literally, but they have like the little chain link, and they're well painted, well sculpted, no problems there. Really nice aesthetic. My biggest gripe really is just that the hips are pretty wide. Like, I know that they're in kind of baggy pants, but the bagginess is usually not at the hip. It's usually down once they start to hang. And so I would definitely like to see NECA bring that crotch in a little bit. Bring the hips in, bring the crotch in, bring the legs closer together. And that. Why is this thing casting such a shadow? There we go. So yeah, it looks really good other than that, and that's just a little issue. I'd also like to note how nice it is to have thighs that are the proper length compared to the lower legs. You don't often see that, and they did a good job with that. So aesthetically speaking, 9.5 out of 10, really, really good job. I love the way these look. Okay, now as far as accessories go, this is where we're going to get into the body part thing. Like I said, both figures are exactly the same because they both come with all of the same parts in the package. So this guy, you can remove the arms, put on naked arms, and take the shirt off, and then you have the exact same figure as this, not counting the head. And for this guy, you can pop those two arms off, put these arms on after you slide on his jacket. It's not a jacket, I know. So that's pretty cool. I like that you get that option. I will point out though, when I took this guy's gi off, there was a little bit of black around the rib cage, so just be careful. There is potential for rubbing, so if you like the way they look as they come in the package, maybe just leave them alone. Anytime you have painted parts, you could transfer, so just be aware of that. But I know what you're thinking if you're not familiar with this 2-pack already. Swapping arms on a figure, especially from NECA when they have been known for some QC issues, is that a good idea? And I'll tell you, they freaking nailed it. Like, the arms are perfectly stiff, there's no problem at all while they're in the socket, and they pop out with almost no force, like no extra force. I didn't have to yank on it or anything. There's just enough of a tab on here of a mushroom. I don't know what you want to call that. There's just enough of a lip on there to hold it in. And since this is PVC, it's the right hardness, you can swap out the parts very easily. So I'll just pop one in real quick, even though I would put the jacket on first normally. But they just, boop, right in. Shoulder joint's a little tight on this one, hasn't been moved yet, but there you go. Like, there's no issue. It works just fine. There's no issue. I'm so thrilled to see that. I was very concerned. Thought we might have a Storm Collectibles situation with M. Bison where you pop off the arms and everything explodes. But no, they swap out no problem at all, and I have no reason to think that that's going to lead to looseness. I mean, I guess you could end up with some looseness if you're over there swapping them out back and forth over and over again, but everything seems to be perfectly good. So accessory-wise, for the clothes and the body swap, that's awesome. We do have alternate hands. Each figure gets a full set of hands, so you get 2 fist hands. This is all per figure. 2 fist hands, 2 gripping hands, 2 karate chop hands, so that's a total of 6 hands for each figure, 12 total. That's nice. You do get the alternate scratched up head for OROKU SAKI, so that's very good. I like that. You get 2 axes, 2 staffs, 2 swords, 2 tonfa or nightsticks, and then you get 1 set of nunchucks with a chain and paint, and then 1 set of nunchucks with a wire in them. That's pretty cool. I like that. You get Splinter in his martial arts pose. That's pretty cool. You get Splinter without his martial arts pose, which is the one that I would put in the... well, I guess you'd put either one of them in the cage, but you do get the cage also, and the bottom just pops off, and you can swap out with either Splinter you want. Basic Splinter or... that's the cowering Splinter or the martial arts pose Splinter. I will note that the cage hanging stand thingy doesn't quite fit quite right. It should go over farther to hold the cage away from the upright, because mine just rests on it, but it's just wire. You could bend it if you wanted to, so that's fine. Okay, and that's it for the accessories. That's a lot of accessories. I like this set a bunch. Getting little baby Splinter and then all of the weapons. Again, you can't have too many weapons. That's nice. Interchangeable body parts. Alternate head, hands, that's a really good spread. I'm gonna go 10 out of 10. I don't know what other accessories you could have, really. Yeah, I like it. That's a good batch of accessories. Very, very pleased with that. Okay, now for the articulation. The head, double ball pegs, they work perfectly fine. No problem at all. Perfectly natural posability. I like that. Shoulders, you already saw, they go up better than horizontal. You get your full rotation, of course. No bicep swivel. That is for the benefit of the sculpt. So you do get these double jointed elbows they're back to using, which when hidden properly, they work fine. And with the gauntlets on, they actually aren't too noticeable. So I'll give it to them. And you do get your swivels out of there, so you can pose them however you need to. You should be able to... You should be okay. I still am not a fan of the double elbow. I hope they phase that out forever. Like, they got rid of it in Casey Jones. It is not my cup of tea. You can get away with it more on the clothed figures because of wrinkles and whatnot, but especially for bare arms, I want them to never do these double elbows, ever. Even if it means less articulation. But you can decide if you like that or not. I don't personally. It's functional. You get good bendage, but they are not great looking in most cases. For mine, I just want to point this out. There are the removable, technically, gauntlets, these pieces here. They were stuck on the, like, from paint, but I just was able to pull on them and then they became fully rotatable, so you can rotate them with the forearm or with the hand if you want to. Right here I'm hitting a loose spot. I didn't notice that before. That might just be from it warming up and me messing with it, but it's not like floppy loose. So yeah, your mileage may vary as far as the shoulders go, as far as the actual swivel. But the good news is, if that becomes a problem, you can fix that very easily. If that does end up being an issue for you, when you pop it out, just put like a tiny, tiny, tiny strip of paper that like lays over the hole, and then when you mush the arm in, you'll have the paper kind of wrap over it, and that'll create just a little bit of extra thickness. It's completely non-invasive, and you should have no trouble at all. Right now, the looseness isn't there. It's like just one little tiny spot of looseness. So anyway, that's a quick fix. Shouldn't be an issue, but again, you're rubbing hard plastic of the peg into PVC. You could end up losing some material. Just be aware of that. But I think as far as interchangeable arms go, this is a fairly safe bet without requiring the use of a hairdryer or something. We have a double ball peg for the torso. It doesn't lean back very far because they brought down the back very far down onto the lower body. But he does lean forward pretty decently, side to side. It takes a little bit of force, but you can get them to lean. You do get rotation out of that. The lower torso does have a ball peg, and the belt is a separate piece, and it does lean side to side. They're not going to be the most articulated figures. It's usually the case with NECA that they look really good, and you can pose them pretty well, especially for how good they look, but you're not going to be in the most crazy poses, and that's true for this guy also. Hips going out to the side. I haven't tried these yet. Let's see. What do we have going on here? Basically full-on splits. So we're using the older Predator style hips. I don't know how they're connected at the waist or in the crotch area, but full-on splits. They don't feel tight or loose. They feel just the way they should be. And like there's tightness, but that's fine. It's not too tight. Ratcheted. That's good. How about going forward? Are they connected? They don't appear to be affecting each other, so that's good. And I don't feel any looseness, so that's a really good thing. The diaper is flexing as it needs to, though if you really want to bring that leg up, you're going to have to flex it pretty hard. But it seems to be working. I don't see any issues with the hips other than they're a little bit wide. So whatever NECA did, it worked. I like that. Be careful. I wouldn't mind having a cut right here in the diaper just so that when you bring the legs up, it does that. It splits there rather than creating stress marks. But you may not even get stress marks if you don't force it too much. So that's pretty good. There is a thigh swivel, and that works nicely. No issues there. Double jointed knee. Really good range. Sculpted well enough. No problems with that. I think that's fine. And then for the ankles, you do get rotation at the top of the ankle, which is very helpful. They go all the way down and as far forward as you can muster with the pant in the way, but that's decent. And you do get your rotation, so you can rotate it for a perfect ankle rocker. As good as it gets. So I like that a whole bunch. I wouldn't have minded if they just lifted up the front of the pant a little bit to get more range for the foot, but it's still, that's pretty decent. That's better than a lot of Marvel Legends, so I like that. So yeah, the articulation on this guy, it's not absolutely perfect, not going to be in the craziest of poses, but since it's a real person and it doesn't need to get in the craziest of poses, it should be fine, and it looks freaking good. I'm going to give the articulation a 9. Do I want to say 9? 8 out of 10. Torso's still fairly limited. Elbows could be better. No bicep swivel, that kind of thing. 8 out of 10. They're still damn good. And since they're made up for by the aesthetic, like, yeah, that's an absolute rating for the articulation, but it doesn't account for everything else, which will make up for it. So yeah, that's how that works with NECA. So final verdicts on this set. It's a freaking good set. I was not expecting to be as interested in it as I am. These guys play a very, well, this guy plays a very small role in the movie. This guy, as this guy, plays a very small role also. But it's very nice to have a set that just turned out nice, using as many reused parts as they did, which makes sense. I'm assuming these are some of the foot soldier parts in here, at least. Maybe not. I didn't check. But either way, it's a really, really nice set, and if you haven't tracked it down, you might want to. If you have, then I hope you enjoy it. But I'm going to give it a final rating of 9 out of 10. I love the accessories. I love the figures themselves. They look great. The articulation is definitely good enough. No real QC issues to speak of. One of their best releases, honestly. Very, very good performance from NECA. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.